Hello, and welcome to another episode of Practical Money Magic with me, your host, Audrey Heesch, your friendly money lady. Today, I want to talk about boundaries in business and how you go about that, what it looks like, and everything in between. Because something that I've keenly been aware of and have seen over and over again is not only this, and it kind of boils down to that saying, one person ruins it for everybody. And while I genuinely understand that and I don't want to diminish, sometimes that does mean like, oh, a situation comes up and that person just showed a gap in something and you do need to fill that. I'm not speaking so much into that sort of situation. I'm saying more, you have this rule. This rule has been established, or you are just establishing this rule, or guidelines or procedure for your business, and you establish that and you get some pushback, or you have a straggler who's like, oh, I'm not gonna do that. And that's just them. That's human. Inevitably, humans are going to push boundaries. That's what we're here to do, is to see where we can grow and see where we can expand and be bigger and different and better, or just be a shit, honestly. But rarely that's not what somebody goes out to say and do. But there are those times where it's just like there's humans in front of you doing human things. And as the owner of a business, you're like, you might feel like your intentions aren't being met with what is coming at you. And so you might feel like you need to completely change everything, or completely scrap that rule, or create a whole nother rule to fill that gap, to quote unquote not let, like, to make it balanced. What I really want to say in this is that I recommend you first evaluate why they're pushing that boundary. Because it could be they just might not understand it, and you just have to restate what is going on, and they'd be like, okay. Or if you have already tried that and they're not, then try and figure. I've kind of seen this boil into three categories as why they're pushing boundaries in another way. Is be like, okay, is it entitlement? Are they doing it out of entitlement? Are they doing it out of survival? Or are they doing it out of greed? And I view each one of those to be a very different response. And that's, for like a macro level, what we're seeing in our political system in the US. We're seeing how Trump has played our tax code and the system to level up to to the position he did, without, by lying and cheating and committing blatant fraud and having 91 felonies just in the past couple years, not including everything else he's done in his life to get to that point. And in small business, we kind of see that over and over again. And the system as a whole is, I'm getting off on a tangent on that, but he is doing it out of generally either entitlement or greed. He either feels like he can, so he just does without even thinking about it, or he's trying to be greedy and get the money to do whatever he wants to do, which is the entitlement piece. And so sometimes the greed and entitlement go hand in hand, sometimes they're separate. And then there's the other side of the spectrum, which is in our society, which is fraud, when people undervalue their income so that they can apply for food stamps or some sort of public assistance so that they can survive. And those two things I don't view as the same. If you are pushing a boundary for survival, that to me is very different and something that needs to be addressed in a different way than greed and entitlement. However, as the business owner, you have full control and full authority to handle whichever one of these however you'd like. But this is just how I see these things playing out. And when you start to be able to identify that, then you're more able to pivot and easily adjust your boundaries and your rules and your guidelines for your business. Another great example of this, and all you have to do sometimes, back to the more beginnings of what I said, man, sorry if some of this is a bit of a word salad. It has been a wild couple days. So sometimes it really is just restating your intention. Or if somebody pushes a boundary, like you said, here is my rule, or here is what I'm offering you, or whatever the case may be, and somebody pushes back and tries to like push that boundary. You then get to evaluate in front of you if that is an acceptable boundary push. You're just like, oh, they're just asking an additional question, or they just really needed an extra 15 minutes to go and have like regather themselves. Or I don't usually do employee advances, but they desperately need an advance. So yes, let's give them that extra $100. Whatever the case may be, it's okay that you adjust your intention. But if someone is pushing your intentions out of entitlement or greed, that's when it is okay to just say no and be like, reestablish your boundaries. You don't necessarily have to completely change your rules or completely change your offering or how you handle the rest of your employees or suppliers or vendors. All it means is you just restate it for that person who might not have heard it the same way as what you tried to communicate. That's highly possible. We're humans. Sometimes as business owner, we have a million things going on and we might not have clearly stated what we were intending. Now, if your entire employees come to you saying, no, this is what you said, and this is what I heard, and this is what we've been going off of, then that's another situation to evaluate. But if it's just a one-off, I recommend addressing it as a one-off and not a blanket for everyone, unless that's what you would like. I do want to, I know I'm going back and forth between that, but I'm just trying to bring attention and awareness to the different spectrums of business and different ways you can approach your your entity in your world and how you want to structure that and the type of business owner you want to be to then be able to fulfill your dreams and your mission and what you're here to do. So a beautiful example, I actually have two examples of this. So I was in a workshop, a wonderful mastermind workshop that was really fun. I hadn't been in one like that before, and I was like, this is great. And I really enjoyed it. And I got in there and she did an offer at the end. And someone was like, oh, be careful what you say. She was just being so beautiful and aware of how people can possibly take advantage of a system. And she was just making sure that the person who set the offer or the leader of the mastermind was also being taken care of. And I thought that was a really wholesome moment. And all the mastermind owner had to do would be like, hey, she can just reset her boundaries and be like, sometimes people just have an extra question and that's okay. And she was strong in addressing not only her intentions for that, but how she intended to have it be received from all of us. And I think that's all it needed to take is, yes, there will inevitably, and like, it's just inevitable that people are going to try and take advantage of a system. We have so much lack in our society. That's just inevitable. I don't know what to say about that. It's going to happen in one form or another. And I don't think you should punish all the good people for the bad, for just like maybe a handful of people that are doing bad. I don't want to diminish that sometimes those bad people cause a lot of pain for you as a business owner, so that it is really difficult for you to want to keep doing that maybe special program for incentive program for your employees. Genuinely, I get it. That's why I'm not here to judge you. I'm just here to possibly look at that situation with a different set of eyes so that you might be able to make sure that you're taking care of the whole instead of addressing the small, the micro. So another great example, the second example I have of this is here in Oregon. So I'm based in Oregon, and the what was it? Oh, I think it was last year. I'm pretty sure it was last year. Oregon voters overwhelmingly passed a bill that said if the legislators don't show up to work for more than 10 consecutive unexcused absences, which 10 days of unexcused absences. So that's not exactly like a small margin. Like, that's not saying, oh, you have a day or two. They are 10 days of just saying, nope, I'm not coming to work. And that would have been okay. So 10 days. And if they didn't show up for 10 days, they could not be up for re-election in the next election cycle. We voted on that. We passed that because in Oregon, there have been many, many, many walkouts that have killed so many essential bills that have just been, oh my gosh, it's been very, very frustrating on a level that I cannot express because there's just been so many important bills between homelessness and just the housing crisis to carbon emissions and everything in between. It's been rough trying to get a working body of legislation. And in our state, what the Republicans are choosing to do is just not show up to work, because when you don't show up to work, you can't have a quorum, which means enough people in the House or the Senate to bring a bill to vote to either pass it or not. And so if you don't have a quorum, you can't move forward. So the voters were done with that after years and years of this happening over and over again. And it just mounted to so much frustration. We're just like, please stop. Like, we need you to come to work. No other job will allow you to not come to work. So we passed this bill, and back to entitlement or greed. The Republicans pushed back and filed lawsuits to still get on the ballot by a weird technicality. They were saying how the wording, how it was worded, meant it didn't have to be that next cycle. It was that next cycle. So it went all the way up to the Oregon Supreme Court, and they shut it down because that was never the intention. That was never the intention of the law. That was never the intention of the voters who voted on it. And it really felt like one of those backdoor wordings that politicians sneak in last minute so that they can still accomplish the bad things they want to do on the back end and have no accountability, but hold that accountability for everyone else. And I do have a big problem with that. But luckily, our state Supreme Court was like, no, it passed with the voters. It was unanimous. Like, no, you don't still have a job. So, or you can't go for reelection to possibly still have your job. And so I was grateful for that. And I'm sure they're going to try and protest and do something else, which is their right. And I'm not sad because that is another clear example of it. You just sometimes have to restate your intention to be like, no, I don't care how you're choosing to interpret this. That was never the intention. That is not what was pushed. That was not what was widely talked about or understood. This behavior is not okay. And so that's what I really want to talk about. And like, that's the whole point of what I'm trying to convey is that it's okay as a business owner to just simply restate your intention and restate what it all means and not just simply change the rule or add a rule or add a bunch of complications that also make the good one the good part of the policy and what really helps people lessen lessen those good things. You don't necessarily have to do that. Sometimes it is just handling the outlier. And I don't want to diminish that that's not fun. It's as a business owner, you have to make really big decisions. You have to say and really talk about things that are big issues. And when you have employees, that can be overwhelming to constantly be having those conversations with not only your suppliers and your vendors and your employees. And sometimes it is just easier to change the rule to be like, nope, okay, this is what we're doing now. So I don't want to diminish that. And if that's what you choose to do, I'm here. Like, I'm not here to judge you. Again, I'm just here to hopefully show you that there is a different way and a different approach to how you view it and how you can possibly move forward. Because we're all in this together, and the more we actually curb bad behavior in a way that's constructive and helpful and just reinstate your intentions, I think that would make everyone better in the long run. I'm not saying it's going to be easy in the moment, and I just want to say that there's other options. We're all in this together, and the more we talk about it, the better and easier it's going to be. It's not a blanket thing. Everyone's going to choose something different. Everyone's going to see a situation different. Everyone's going to react differently, and that's okay. As business owners, sometimes we manage other people more than we're actually doing our job. Unfortunately, that's what being a leader in our entity is managing the people so that the people can execute your vision, because it's very hard for one person to simply execute something, especially if you're a product-based business. That is a labor-intensive entity. And when you have those products, it generally requires people to do all the things. Or a really great manufacturer. But still, then you're managing the manufacturer and your person there. So that's what I want to say. It's kind of probably a little bit more all over the place. I was a little less structured on this. It's again been a day. Lots of things, lots of moving parts. And it is the words are hard. What am I trying to say? I had something come in my head. Oh y'all. Maybe I won't post this one. This one's kind of rough. Anyway, it is April, the posting of this, it's April 3rd. So it is payroll. So if you had payroll in the first quarter of this year, it's time to make your payroll reports. Do it for your state, your federal, and don't forget to make your estimated tax payment, which will be due the 15th. 15th is a Monday. So yes, it'll be due the 15th. So if you have a quarter one estimate tax payment, make sure that is in. And of course, the tax deadline for LLCs, sole proprietors, your personal. Oh, I think C Corps. Might be wrong on that one. When is the April? Okay, C Corps. April 15th. That's what I thought. I was like, why? Something in my brain was like, wait, hold on. So I just checked. See, it's okay to not know something right off the tip of your tongue and refer to something else that will know so you're not spreading misinformation. That is totally okay to do. I want to scream that from the top of my lungs. You do not have to be 100% right 100% of the time. And if what's coming out of your mouth doesn't feel right, it's okay to pause, say that, and figure out the right answer if you really feel like that message needs to be conveyed. Just saying. Thank you for coming to my soapbox. So yes, taxes are due, payroll reporting is due, estimated taxes are due, and I am working on a step-by-step for reporting your Corporate Transparency Act. Please do comment below if you want a copy of that. Once I get that completed, I will put out more information with that. I am almost done. I did go through it. It took me about 8 minutes. It's taken me way longer to put together the step-by-step, but it is very simple. At the top, I'll put together what you need to have available so that the information is just at the tip of your finger, so you can just plug it away and have this complete. And so that will also be coming up. And I think that's all of my sticky notes that are surrounding me at the moment. Oh, okay, so that's what I have for you today. And I hope if you are looking to figure out your financial success strategy, I know that can be very complicated and overwhelming, especially because there's so many answers out there that feel very cookie cutter and they sound amazing and the promises sound beautiful, but something in there is just like, that's not going to work for me. Know that that's okay. Not every solution is going to work for every human. So I created a financial success strategy that's based on your personality and how it'll work for you, which is very important. And why the more you lean into how you work and create and build your business and your systems in a way that supports you as a human and your employees as humans and your vendors as humans, the more we incorporate the human element and give grace and compassion to not only just the good things, but also just maybe the bad things. Like I know people that always say, I'm terrible at math. I hate math. This finance stuff is too much. And that's okay. You still need to tackle it. It's just about tackling it in a way that really works with you. And that is very important. So created a quiz. You can go to my website, www.thegracefulpenny.com/quiz. Take it. It shouldn't take you more than 2 minutes. And you'll get to learn about how you can really infuse you into your business to create this success strategy to really help you on your path to success. And because I believe in you and you have so much to give and you have this beautiful dream that you are wanting to bring to the world. And I believe in you. You got this. Figure out a strategy that works for you and watch yourself bloom, baby. Wait, plant that seed of success and watch yourself bloom, baby. A little late on that, but hope you have a wonderful day and I will see you next week.